Hello, so welcome to Comfy Cozy Up. So today I'm going to be doing my May wrap up. Yeah, it's the last day of the month. So I decided to get it over with because, of course, you guys know I'm going to BookCon tomorrow. So again, if you see me at BookCon on Saturday, just say hi. I would love to meet other booktubers, other subscribers, just book lover in general. So say hi. So anyway, I'm going to talk about the books I've read. So I started the month off with a bit of romance, ended with romance, but in the middle I had some crime mystery, some family drama, and I fulfilled one of my goals, was to read at least one Caribbean author, a book from a Caribbean author once. I think I had two. Yeah, I had two this month. So I'm going to start by talking about the first book that I read, which was Hookshot, and that is the last book in the Hoop series by Kennedy Ryan, and I loved it. So I did an entire weekly vlog on it, and I talked about it in that video. So I won't go in detail, but I will say is I love how it dealt with a heavy topic of people who are traumatized by childhood assault, and how it affects them as an adult. So they even have a group in the book, and different women, how they deal with it. And in this story, it's about having that connection with someone and learning to love and enjoy that part of intimacy, and not necessarily just sex. So I thought that was beautifully done. I love the biblical verses from Song of Solomon that they added to it. I was so for it. So it made me even go back and read that part of the Bible, because I thought those verses were so perfect for the story. And also in general, that part of, those verses are very, very poetic and romantic, So, and I remember having a discussion even with my mom, because my mom is very religious, and she said, she was like, oh, you should have read more of those. And I'm like, I don't think growing up, no one talks about that part of the Bible that much. But, I'm a little naive, so it was an enjoyable moment reading that part. So I'll definitely say read the series. The middle book wasn't my favorite, but I definitely enjoyed the first book, which is Long Shot. Second one is Block. There's a Block Shot, and then this one, of course, Hook Shot. So yeah, definitely gonna read more Candy Ryan for sure. The next book is a spin-off from the Sinners of Saints series, and this is called Pretty Reckless. And this is one of those ones where I felt like for a dark romance, they threw everything in there, and you either gonna really love it, or you're gonna think this is a bunch of nonsense. But I was entertained. I didn't love it as much as the original series, but it made me still want to continue on with the next character. So of course, in the series, it is a spin-off from the fathers. So these are their children, and in this case, this is the child for the first book, which is Defy, and this is Jamie and his wife. And I was a little surprised that their daughter was that rotten, because I didn't think Jamie and his wife was that bad. But I expected her to be vicious daughter, like I said in the video. But then again, she has to surprise us, I guess. So that's another one that was like, okay. So then I tap into The Bride Test by Helen Wong. Now, this is beautiful. This deals with another case of autism. And in this case, like she did in the first book, the Kiss Quotient, where the female had autism, in this case the male had autism. And it's just a beautiful story. I did a full blog post on it, and what I would say is it's just so beautifully done. It deals with family, immigration, love, and trying to have a better life, and connecting with someone on a level that is not expected. It's more of it's immediate connection. It's something about this book that I enjoy. I would say a lot of people are comparing it to the first one in terms of the story. It's not the same. It's going to be a different connection that you're going to have with this than you would the first one. I loved it. it is one of those where I feel like, you should read. It's definitely a summer read. The next book that I want to talk about is one of my favorite book that I've read this year so far, and that is The Star Side of Bird Hill by Naomi Jackson. I think this is a great Caribbean book to add, especially for June, because June is Caribbean hashtag Read Caribbean that is going on Instagram, and it's just encouraging people to read more Caribbean book. Definitely add this. This is a great summer read. This is a story about two girls who are shipped off to Barbados to stay with their grandmother, and they're not sure what's going on. They don't have a relationship with their grandmother. They've never been to Barbados. They're not familiar with that side of their culture, and it's just how they're exploring the island, and tragedy and family drama it's all connected in there. And it gave me feels of my childhood growing up in Jamaica and spending in a rural. And I gave an entire video on this. I love the writing. I love how deep she connects the culture and how similar it is in the Caribbean. There are some dramatic moments in this because it deals with mental illness, and loneliness, depression. It deals with heavy stuff, but there's also those moments where you smile and think of your grandmother. So definitely was there for this one. Then it got a bit sad when I picked up A Woman Is No Man, and it's tough rum. I think that's how you pronounce it. This one just made me sad. It had all that stereotype of women. Women who are abused, and who are have this belief of how life should be because they're women, and these men who are raised to carry on that tradition of what they expect a woman role should be. It also has that moment where you also feel like, you not even feel, but you see how the men themselves get abused and become abusers. And it's a cycle. It's a generation cycle, and how they're breaking it, how these women are learning to stand up, even if their own family are not supportive, and even though there are times in the story where it's 3 generations, and each generation been through the same thing, and there's that hope. I went through it, so you should be fine. That idea, I survived this, all these negative things, then you should be going through it too because I survived. And it just frustrated me reading it, but then I understood. It does have sorry guys, it does have some stereotype that I'm not a fan of, where it can I can see women who are from this culture being frustrated with it, but it is someone's story. That's how I take it. Someone who has experienced this kind of thing. So that's how I went into it. That's why I was able to have an open mind with this, And then I read Verity by Colin Hoover, and that book completely surprised me. I did not expect it to be that good. It is a story about a woman who is, she's married to this guy, and she got into an accident because after her losing her twin daughters, yeah. Is this rain? Yeah, guys, this is rain. So, I'm gonna hurry up. And what happened was, she basically she couldn't speak, couldn't walk, she was immobile. So her husband decided to hire a writer to continue her stories. She has this famous book series, and in this book series that she has, what's going on is these characters where they're villains, and she's really good at it, and her herself has a villain personality. So when the woman came now, she's like going through the writer's documents. She found the writer's memoir, and the memoir exposed a lot of things that she was shocked and was realizing what kind of person the author really was. But in the midst of that, she's also falling for the husband. So there's a bit of a love, and then there's suspense, and you wondering what's gonna happen. It was eerie, it was creepy, but I love how they wrote an author to author, because they all, they both authors, how their mind work and how their personality mold into the kind of characters that they create in their book. Colin Hoover surprised the heck out of me with this one. This one is a must read. If looking for something that is different and not what you think, because I can't even compare this to a lot. I don't even know what to compare this book to, but it was good. So definitely pick that up. So then I went into the Confessions of Franny Langston, and this is by Sarah Collins. Now let me tell you about this book. The first part of this book, well, first let me tell you what it's about. It's about a slave from Jamaica, and she went from Jamaica to England, and so it's more of in England where they're supposed to be not slave, but the way she was just tossed around to another owner, essentially. But she was I guess in the terms at this point, she's a servant. And her relationship with those people at the time, you don't know what's going on, but she was accused of their murder. So in this book, you're learning about her. She's telling her story of from Jamaica to England, her connection to both the slave owners she had in Jamaica and the people that she was with in England. So you're hearing about how her relationship with them, which was very scandalous. It was a lot of stuff going on in this story. The problem I had with this book, the first part of this book, was a drag. I mean, I know it was supposed to be done in a way to kind of build up and get to the point, but I wish it gave me the same feel as the second half of the book, because the second half of the book was good. I was into it. I was like, whoa, 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 what's happening? But the first part, it was just, I was like, it was like when somebody's telling a story and you're like, get to the point. Could you get to the point? That's how I felt about this story, and I wish it didn't drag like that in the beginning. So which is why I gave it a 3-star, but it was, it could have been better. But I would say if you, get through the first, part of the book, first 40%, and actually focus, because there are some details that will come into play towards the end, you will enjoy it, because it does have some scandalous thing that for historical fiction that you never think of, and I don't want to give it away, because I was a little surprised, and I want my you guys to be surprised too. But it's not a bad book. For me, it just dragged a little in the beginning. And then I wanted to end the book with a bit of romance again. So I picked up an indie author, and I haven't been reading a lot of indie author. I've been slacking on that. And so I picked up Truth of Things. I'm going to insert it here. And this by Natasha L. Harrison. And I liked the story. It was about a woman. She is, come from a drug addicted mother, raised she was raised in foster care, and she survived, went to college, had a degree, but she is a freelancer photographer, and she's not making money, so she's living in a borderline what you would call low income kind of environment. So she crossed paths with people who are selling drugs in the corner and all that. So one particular night, one of the guy was aggressive and tried to approach her. This other guy that she knows defended her, and in the midst of them fighting, and she's there, cops showed up, arrested, but in a way abused her as well, because they were so aggressive. One of the cop and pushed her on the floor and did the typical things that you hear on the news. And there's a male cop came along, and he was immediately smitten by her, and try to protect her, and even a friend as far as walking her home. And that's how their romance build. And in this story there's just so much going on, and you learn how she's coping and the things that she's dealing with. So it deals with, you know, police corruption. It deals with you know, having this goal of wanting to succeed, wanting to help, because she has this good heart and she wants to help. And it was sexy. It was so sexy, and you're rooting for them and you want them to connect. So it's other things going on that I don't want to give away in the story, but I love the storyline. But however, it needed another round of editing. The writing, there was quite a few moments where I was confused on the sentence and I didn't know what was going on. But thankfully the storyline was strong that I was able to get past that, because I actually picked up part two, because it's a 2-book series, and I'm reading part 2 right now, which you can tell the writing is totally different. She has improved a lot on the second book. So you know, maybe those reviews that she might have gotten may have encouraged her to make sure that the second book was polished. But sometimes that's what happens with a lot of indie authors. You know, you kind of you know, maybe things happen sometimes, you know, but it's still a book I feel like you can get through. It's not that it doesn't take away from the story. The story is still strong and grabbed my attention because I read it pretty quickly, and it made me want to read part 2. So that should tell you, you know, you still can get through it. So I'm reading too, and I'll definitely review both books together. In more, you know, in a video I would talk about both of them together, because it's more to it, and I don't want to really get into it yet until I really finish the second book, so I can kind of tie the stories and tell you how they are. So that's it, guys. That is my 8 books, and thanks for watching, and have a good day. Bye.